Hello everybody, welcome back once again. I've got another Triangle Strategy character guide for you. This time we are going to talk Decimal. Decimal is a lot of fun, amazing range, and very, very powerful, able to do probably more damage than anybody else in the game. The mages can maybe sometimes come close, but it's tough. And there are actually certain levels where Decimal is just going to blow anybody else out of the water as far as damage dealt. So, anyways, let's get into why Decimal is so good. So as far as stats go, Decimal is actually pretty solid. I mean, kind of like nothing seems too great, but nothing is like really bad either. 59 physical defense, that's pretty decent. Magic attack is pretty decent as well. Strength doesn't really matter that much. It's pretty rare that you're just going to be using a basic attack with it, right? In almost every case, you're better if you're like, oh, okay, right now I'll go take a swing at this thing. You're probably better to just do nothing at all and recharge its TP, but. Next up, so Magic Attack 56, Magic Defense 59. Again, pretty middle of the road as far as defensive stats. Accuracy doesn't matter. Speed, Decimal speed is a little bit of a problem. 25 is not very good. It's not like the worst, but it's not particularly good. And actually, I never bothered equipping any speed accessories because I kind of just wanted to get more power out of Decimal instead. So that's there wasn't really a whole lot I could do about that. There's a case to be made at the end of the game because the stats don't scale very well, that I could have swapped out like the black anklet for like a speed bracer or something, right? That wouldn't have been such a bad idea. And its evasion is terrible. Jump 2, movement 4. Honestly, neither of these stats really matter that much. It's usually the case that Decimal's not moving very much. There are certain levels where you'll have to do some movement, but pretty standard though anyway, right? 4 movement is about the average. As far as let's talk accessories. So in my opinion, the Obsidian Anklet was made for Decimal. It says increases strength and magic attack but prevents natural TP recovery at the start of your turn. Most characters in the game really need their TP. There might be a couple of characters that could kind of get away with it. I'm thinking like maybe some of the archers could kind of get away with not having TP recovery, but, then you're basically just relegated to using basic attacks the entire time. And so I don't really love that. But the reason why it works so well on Decimal is because Decimal doesn't generate TP naturally anyway. So it says here, and that's because of its first passive here. It says, become immune to all status ailment, but don't recover TP naturally at the start of your turn. So the way that Decimal gets its TP back is one of two ways. Its base here, which is its other passive, which is just charge TP. It says gain 3 TP when not moving or using commands on your turn. So you just have to skip your turn, and it'll get 3 TP back. Otherwise, you need other characters like Yulio or Medina to do it. And I actually do some combination of those 3 things. But we'll get back into that a little bit more. I believe the Obsidian Anklet, if I'm remembering correctly, actually gives you 6 strength and 6 magic attack, which the strength doesn't really matter. I don't use physical attacks. For whatever reason, I thought for a long time that some of Decimal's skills were physical based, but that's not the case. They all say non-elemental magic damage. So I'm not really sure why I got that idea, but yeah, I was not correct. But either way, it's the magic attack from the Obsidian Anklet that's going to be good. And again, you get 6 from that, so that's a pretty sizable chunk. The other accessory that I had on Decimal pretty much the entire game, there was a little while there where I was actually using this on Rudolph, but I did swap it over here, and it says increases strength, magic attack, physical defense, and magic attack, or magic defense, but deals damage to at the start of your turn. Now, I think that this actually works really well on Decimal because 9 times out of 10 when I'm using Decimal, I've got Medina in my group. and she's usually using double items and restoring basically healing, herself, and then, however many other characters that I can, including Decimal. And so this little bit of damage that Decimal will take from the Black Anklet is easily healed by Medina. So no real issue with that side of it. But anyways, all right, so let's get into the passives. Oh, I should say the abilities. So again, the first of the passive here is just, immunity to status ailments, which is pretty cool on its face, with unfortunately the detriment of not being able to recover the TP. And we've already been over that part of it. But, and excuse me, same as the charge TP, right? You have to be really careful about, basically what you want to do is any turn that you want to nuke something, that's the turn that you can move. But any turn that you, basically if you're out of TP or you don't have enough TP to use an ability, you want to just not do anything and not move at all. So again, move on the turns that you actually deal the damage, and charge TP on the opposite turns, or turns that you can't cast. Its first calculation here is target HP 3. So, if you're familiar with the calculator from Final Fantasy Tactics, you'll probably understand where Decimal is kind of getting its abilities from. And the target HP 3 is, it says, deal non-elemental magic damage to all enemies within range whose current HP is a multiple of 3. Now, in Final Fantasy Tactics, the calculator was a more of a pain to use, and you had to really, figure. I mean, you had to do your own. You basically had to do your own calculations, unless you were letting the AI do it. And so that was a little bit cumbersome. But here, it's not bad at all. Basically, all you can do is you can select target HP 3 and see who it's going to affect. And if you're not happy with the number of characters or whatever, you can just cancel out, right? And so there's no real work on your part. So very, very, very good. And then actually I should say the power 274 is okay, not bad. And then the range is 1 to 10. And that's what makes Decimal pretty broken, honestly, is his range. 1 to 10 range, and that's, with him at the center. Meaning, Decimal's going to be hitting a lot of stuff, or potentially hitting a lot of stuff. And then the height is plus or minus 99, so it doesn't matter how high, like the elevation, right? You're going to hit as long as you're within, the target is within range, so that's really nice too. There's a lot of abilities in the game that have height restrictions, but that is not the case with Decimal. The next up is target HP 4, so it says deal non-elemental magic damage to all enemies within range whose current HP is a multiple of 4, and decrease their movement by 1 for 3 turns. That's kind of nice too. And really, if you're worried about getting overwhelmed, you probably want to start out with the target HP 4. It doesn't always work that well though, right? Just because the enemy's HP may not be a multiple of that, but it's just kind of a nice little added benefit, and both of these abilities are only costing 2 TP. Next up here is the target HP 5, and this one gets really, really nasty. So the power is actually a little bit better, which is nice, right? We're at 297 versus the 274. Same range, same height, but it says deal non-elemental magic damage to all enemies within range whose current HP is a multiple of 5, and have a chance to instantly kill them. Now, the instant kill chance is always really, really low, probably 10% or less, but it does happen, and when it does, it is really nice. So this ability is amazing. Assist TP 0, I basically never used this. It says raise the strength and magic attack of all allies within range with 0 TP for 3 turns. Meaning that if the character has just bottomed themselves out on TP, you can actually buff them, but I didn't think that this was ever worth it. And I should at least try it one time just to see what the strength and magic attack actually is and how much it actually gives. But as the game progresses, as the game progresses, the strength and magic buffs are less effective, right? Because of the way that the stats scale. So, early in the game they do a lot for you, whereas towards the end of the game, they're not doing as much. So I guess keep that in mind. Now, the last, well, not last calculation, but I think the best calculation is its target height 5+. So this says deal non-elemental magic damage to all enemies within range who are 5 or more squares above you. So instead of calculations based off of its HP, it's just on the height. So if you can get Decimal down low, you know, you can blast any enemy within range. So I think this is the calculation that I did by far the most damage with. You know, the rest of these, sure, you'll get 1, 2. Sometimes you can get lucky and have 3 or 4 enemies within range. But there's a couple of levels in the game where the target height calculation is nuts. This level here is one of them. I'll be showing the height calculation here in a minute. Lastly is the target HP 7. I don't really like this one. This is probably actually my least favorite of all of the abilities. So it says, use all TP to deal non-elemental magic damage to all enemies whose current HP ends with 7. The more TP consumed, the stronger the attack. I just never really found this to be, for one thing, that damaging, which is weird because it's got the best power rating, right? 458. I don't know. And also, you know, again, it's one of those, it's an issue of the HP calculation, right? Like, it's pretty rare to have enemies whose HP ends in 7. So that's just not as usable. But that is it for the stats. Oh, stop texting me, you jerks. That's it for the stats and the abilities. So let's take a look at actually using Decimal. So this is the Fort Assault battle, which in my opinion is the hardest of all of the Mentamok battles. But I've got everything all set up, and these are generally the characters that I like to use, especially with Decimal. Maybe not so much Cordelia and Milo, that doesn't really matter, but Benedict is pretty important for Decimal because Decimal needs to keep getting turns to keep its TP charged. And so using twofold turn on Decimal basically anytime it's available is a really good way to keep cranking out the damage. You, Leo, can do kind of the same thing, well, not the same thing, but can help out with TP as well, right? He can use Inheritor or Moment of Truth is really good. But Medina is the real character that makes this work really, really well. And that's with her double items ability and ranged HP recovery pellets. She can just keep this kind of little force going, you know, with and keep them with TP. But all right, so let's take a look here. So target HP 3. This will actually hit. This is looking like 3-4 enemies. That's actually pretty solid. Yeah, that's pretty decent, and it'll knock this guy down to, we'll just say, yeah, it looks like 316. So that's pretty good. The target HP 4. This looks like it's gonna hit less enemies. It's gonna hit this Hawkbow, that Hawkbow. Yeah, that looks like that is it. And you can actually see the range here as well. So you know, anywhere that's highlighted in red, that's Decimal's current range. So again, gigantic. And then here again is my favorite calculation, which is the HP 5. This time it's actually, no, I'm sorry, this is not it. This is target HP 5. I was thinking target height 5, but this is not my favorite. But it's good though, nonetheless. And you can see here, this has got an instant death chance of 12%, which again, not you know, fantastic by any means, but I think, you know, every once in a while, and when it does happen, it's like, oh my god, yes. You know, especially if you can knock somebody down that's at like full health and just wipe them out with an ability like this, it's pretty nice. But all right, here is my favorite one, which again is the target HP 5. Now, Decimal in this level specifically, you know, the optimal spots are down here because the height is you know, low. Like here, this square he's on is is height 3, and so even just going to right here, since this is a height 8, that's already 5 difference. And so we're actually able to hit this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So again, a lot of targets here eligible to be hit by this attack. And then here's target HP 7, which actually that is really strong. Look at that. I mean, down from 417 down to 182. That is actually gigantic. This may be one of the better battles for this. Look at even this. It's going to hit this guy too. The crazy thing about this calculation is it's just infinite range. I mean, you can see the red. I mean, it's literally every tile, so nothing is safe from this. So again, as long as its HP is ends with a 7, you're going to hit them. So you know, again, that actually is pretty solid. Yeah, look at that guy. He starts out at 917. That's kind of cheap, but this probably would be actually the best calculation to use, just because it does so much damage. But 5 would be a pretty solid choice as well, or the height 5 anyway. So let's actually do this one. Pow! Boom! Yeah, strike 5 or more units for what? I mean, how much was this? Quite a bit. I mean, what was that? Maybe around I want to say around 1,000 damage right there. I mean, nobody else in the game is really going to be able to do that. Avlora, you know, can do a good amount if the conditions are just right, but not to, you know, multiple enemies. So, wow, I don't know why I even brought up Avlora. There's way better characters like you know, Frederica, even with Sunfall, or Corentin with. Basically, it's all of the mages in the game, right, that have like gigantic AOE's. Can do a lot of damage. But so anyways, before Decimal's turn here, I actually did put the twofold turn on him from Benedict. And so what I'm just going to end up doing here is ending this turn, and then so its twofold turn comes around. It only has 1 TP, so I'm not going to be able to do anything anyway. And so I would just end the turn and restore the TP. I just set up like really silly. There's no. I mean, I really just wanted to show. I mean, it wouldn't be a good spot, right? Because Archibald just got annihilated right there. But at this point, what I would do here is do a twofold turn. Or I'm sorry, we'll do it in tandem, right? Because I want to move Decimal's turn next, and then I would use a twofold turn here. And this is kind of like the reason why this character is just nuts, right? Not only can it deal a ton of damage, but it can be really bursty as well. So then we'll just use this one more time. Boom. And then we'll just, you know, restore the TP with the second turn. Now, I think what I would do here is do like an Inheritor. And hopefully Medina is going to get her... Yeah, so Medina's going to get her turn almost next. But let's do Power of Love here. Keep ourselves protected from those guys. The enemy is going to take a turn. Then Medina will come up, and I will use a. Oops, I don't even know if I would need to move her. Yeah, probably not. So we'll use a fast-acting medication to give Decimal its turn again. And that's why this combination is just nuts. So then we just use the height calculation one more time. And that annihilated, what, 1, 2, 3 enemies. Just completely zeroed them out. This battle mage is like on life support. And yeah, so that's it. That's Decimal. That's the Decimal's power. I mean, that was pretty much the best case scenario, and how its optimal combo, right, with all of the different characters. And then really it's just up to the rest of your characters to kind of finish stuff off. Like normally I would have Hewitt here, and she could finish off the, you know, that battle mage. So yeah, that's it. That's Decimal. Again, a really fun character, absolutely devastating. Again, I think it's got the potential to do the most damage in the game. You could even throw Quahog in here with basically the turn rewind, right, to bring everybody's TP back to full. And really get an insane combo going. All right, so the last thing that we're going to do here is talk weapon upgrades. So for Decimal's weapon upgrade, I don't know that I would go with the potency upgrade first. But I don't know. It's tough, honestly, because Decimal is actually able to stay so safe. So maybe there is actually a case to be made for upgrading the weapon damage first, right? Just to deal a little bit more damage with it, because you probably don't really need the physical and magic defense, right? Because if if enemies have already got to you, something, well, I mean, I'm not saying that it can never happen, but, you know, when it does, it's going to be pretty rare. So I think actually my recommendation actually would be to upgrade its weapon potency first. I would probably go with the physical and magic defense. I mean, I don't know what's you know, more important here, really. But definitely kind of go with those. Evasion, honestly, I don't think that that's worth really upgrading for Decimal, at least not making it a priority. The health would be more beneficial, to be honest, because, you know, Decimal has bad evasion, and one more point of evasion isn't going to really do much of a difference. So that's my recommendation anyway. Next up here is, so it's got all of its calculation stuff here. So it says increased damage dealt by target HP 3, increased damage dealt by target HP 4, or increased damage by target HP 5. You know, I don't really know what's the better route to go. If it's to do the weapon damage up first and then do these, I'm not sure. But because I never tested this stuff out, but they're all pretty solid. I mean, honestly, the crappy thing though with Decimal is you just never really know what calculation you're going to be using, you know, more often. So honestly though, because HP 5 is more expensive, I think I would prioritize these two. So maybe I'd go like the target HP 3 damage up, then the target HP 4, then do the weapon damage, and then do target HP 5 and do the HP last. And then this weapon ability, I mean, I'm not going to say that this is garbage, but it was very, very rare that I used this target HP 7 calculation. You know, I guess the good thing here is that it's the only thing in this tier. So there's not a whole lot of guesswork as far as the order, right? But there's probably a lot of other characters that are going to have you know, tier 3 weapon upgrades that'll get done before Decimals, because, you know, you're going to be kind of squeezed for materials. But anyways, that is going to be it for Decimal. As always, I hope the guide was helpful, and thank you for watching.